Frontline stocks gain, keeping mainline indices in the green even as the broader market sees more stocks declining than advancing. Utilities and IT are the prominent gainers even as industrials and autos drag.
The RBI has approved only a one-year term extension for IndusInd Bank CEO Sumant Khatpalia against the three-year extension sought by the board. The shorter duration of the extension raises uncertainties. The stock slips to a 52-week low.
Sun Pharma is set to acquire Checkpoint Therapeutics that owns an FDA-approved oncoderm therapy drug for an upfront payment of $355 million, while Lupin launches a cardio drug in the US with an addressable market of $450 million.
India is looking to cut the average applied tariff for US imports as part of bilateral discussions. CNBC-TV18 has learned this as talks with the European Union on the FTA resume today and efforts to seal a trade deal with the UK continues.
The government invites applications for the post of the IRDAI chairman as the term of the current chair, Debashish Panda, ends on March 13th. Two senior bureaucrats could be frontrunners for this post.
Starting off this week, this truncated week with a sea of blue. The market, of course, seeing some bit of green at the start of the week. You're watching Halftime Report live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Hormas Fatakia. With me, as always, is Mangalam Malu with that cheer from last night's win. And it reflected slightly on the markets, at least for a better part of the first half of the trading session. But the indices have come off the opening highs as of now. And that level between 22,670, 22,700 proving to be a resistance yet again. 22,664 was the high that was made on the 24th of February. And since it's crossed that level today, made a high of around 676 on the index, did the Nifty, but has cooled off now almost 80 points from the highs. What is dragging the index down is the Nifty Bank. It's slipped into the red now, and the mid-cap index too has also seen some bit of negative ticks. But overall, no reasons to complain because the GIFT Nifty was pointing to a greater pain, Mangalam.
That's correct. You know, after some sort of consolidation that we saw in the earlier part of today's trading session, we've held on to these gains that we've made. Yes, 50 points, 100 points here and there, were largely in the green. The only concern is the broader markets. Last week, we had good gains come by for both the mid-cap and the small-cap indices. Let's see whether that sustains or not as we progress towards the end of what is a truncated week. And at the same time, we'll keep an eye out on the market breadth as well. A couple of stocks which, are the ones that require mention. It's Strides Pharma, which is taking a bit of a sharp knock as we speak. In just the last few minutes, we've seen a couple of stocks decline. So we had more stocks declining than the number of stocks which are advancing. There's a big fall that we've seen in Strides Pharma. The other one that stands out on the way down is Astral. That is the other one which has now moved to the low point of today's trading range so far. And CG Power is the other one. And an otherwise decent day for power stocks, be it, something like the Adani Group stocks or JSW Energy or Tata Power. CG Power is the one which is currently at the low point of trade, along with KEI Industries, which too is drubbing at, the lows of today with a 5% cut in today's trading session itself. But none, as important from the Nifty space as IndusInd Bank, which is slightly under pressure at a 52-week low amid leadership uncertainty. We have Abhishek joining in with more. Abhishek, 3.5% lower after a near 5.5% decline that we saw all of last week.
Not the decline, but take a look at the RBI's, uncertainty with respect to the MD and CEO's tenure. Now, they have reduced the tenure extension only up to 1 year versus 2 years that they gave in the previous time around. And this is also on the back of the fact that the board recommended only one name for the, MD and CEO extension, and they did not give opportunities. So last time RBI had given 2 years tenure versus 3 years that was sought by the board. Even this time they sought 3 years, but they got only 1 year. Now, analysts do say that, this means that the board will have to find a replacement, now, which will create uncertainty with respect to leadership in the interim period. Now, previous similar instances wherein, what the board sought versus what RBI gave was on the lower side. That happened with RBL Bank 1 year, Bandhan Bank 3 year versus 5 year that they sought. Federal Bank not even approving a 1 year extension what the board had sought. So that had that led to, negative with respect to stock price reaction post the RBI outcome. So IFS says that weak profitability even in FY26 with ROE of, around 10.5%, coupled with leadership uncertainty should keep the stock price under pressure in the near term. So brokerages, some of them have cut the target price like Jefferies, MK, as well as IFL Securities. All of them have, buy call, except for BofA Securities, who has downgraded the stock recommendation to underperform while cut the target price to about 850 per share. Back to you.
In fact, 850 is the lowest on the street for IndusInd Bank, and the pressure because of these uncertainties and the fears expressed by the brokerages very well evident on the stock price today. 3.5% lower, among the top losers on the Nifty this afternoon. But the other big announcement that came in earlier this morning pertains to Sun Pharma, and that is because of a new acquisition that it announced. And a lot of these pharma names are in focus today because Lupin 2 is on the radar on the back of a new launch and some brokerage commentary as well. Vinny is here to summarize all of that for us. Vinny, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So let me start with Sun Pharma first. They've announced an acquisition which is of Checkpoint Therapeutics, which is a US listed company. Now this company is mainly involved in immunotherapy as well as targeted oncology companies, what they focus on in terms of making the drugs. This is developing novel treatments for patients with solid tumor cancers. So for Checkpoint, when you talk about it, currently they do have an approval that already is there from the US FDA. This is for a skin cancer treatment drug, and that's the only company which has received this US FDA approval so far. So this will get added to Sun Pharma's portfolio, which is a positive for the company. This gets added to their oncology side, the special portfolio of the company, oncology, derma side of the portfolio, which is a good point in the long term for the company. Obviously, in the near term, they will be spending money. They will be paying for the acquisition as well. They will be paying for the launches as well, the expense for the launches on that lines as well. But overall, it's a good addition to the portfolio of the company. Now, this transaction, upfront cash is what Sun Pharma will be paying of around $4.10 per share. And this is adding up to around $355 million. Apart from that, they will be giving some stakeholders some contingent value right as well of around $0.70 per share. And apart from that, there is going to be a royalty agreement also. Now, the percent of royalty that they are going to be paying to the largest shareholder of Checkpoint is something that is yet not mentioned. So that is something that one should keep an eye out on. Phillip Capital is positive on this deal and acquisition that has happened. They said that this will expand the specialty portfolio in US specifically. For Sun Pharma, they're reiterating the buy target price of 2,120 rupees per share. And overall, they believe that Sun Pharma has the money to pay this, and this will be mainly through internal accruals. So there will be not much in concerns in terms coming in for cash raising for funds for Sun Pharma. Now let's move on to the second one. Lupin, they've announced a launch of a generic drug that has come in, generic Rivaroxaban, which is a 2.5 mg tablet in the US market. On the back of this, Citi is giving it a buy rating, target price of 2,260 rupees per share. They said this is at a risk launch. Patent is expiring in 2039 for the company. Right now, Lupin is obviously launched this drug. Sun Pharma is also the one who's waiting out for an approval for coming in from US FDA. So there could be some competition coming in, but overall market size for this is around $446 million for this brand and this drug in the market currently. Nomura on the back of this is also continuing to maintain the buy rating, target price of 2,350 rupees per share.
All right, we take that point, Vinny. Thank you for bringing us up to speed with all things that are taking place in the pharmaceutical space. But the stock of last week on the way down was undoubtedly Gensol Engineering, down about 45%, all of just last week. And today as well is lower on the back of promoters selling on Friday. Remember, on Thursday, the management joined us here on CNBC-TV18 saying that they may buy from the open market in the next couple of weeks. The company has actually gone ahead and sold in the open market itself. Be the reason what it may, the street doesn't like this. It's down about 4.5% today after a big fall yesterday. Hormas, bring us up to speed with the details here.
The street does not like anything that has been happening over the last week when it comes to Gensol, and in the news for all the wrong reasons ever since that downgrade came in from both ICRA and from Care Ratings. And as you just mentioned, you spoke to the management along with Nigel, and the management had mentioned very categorically that they would be looking to increase their stake in the company. And although they did not share a timeline for that, of course, but they did say that they have plans to increase their stake. But on Friday, they ended up selling their stake in the company, almost 2.5%, 9 lakh shares. And they say that the proceeds of this will be infused back into the company to support the balance sheet, which is currently a little askew. And they will also be infusing some via the warrant subscription round, which was done at a much higher price in June of last year. That is what the management has said in that exchange filing. But even after the stake sale, the management still continues to hold around 60% stake, the promoters. But mind you, most of that stake is pledged. That is another concern that surrounds Gensol. But before this announcement came in of the promoters selling stake, they made another announcement after market closing on Friday, which stated that they are going to hold a board meeting on the 13th where they are going to raise funds, either via QIP or a preferential issue or various other methods. But more importantly, they are also going to consider a stock split. Now, they are going to do this stock split after the stock has corrected almost 75% from its peak. It's 1124 peak for Gensol. The stock currently at around 310. Now, they plan on considering a stock split on the 13th. Now, Gensol has never done a stock split before, but they have given bonus issues. And the 2:1 bonus that they gave in October of 23 and a 1:3 bonus that they had given in October of 21. So they have done a lot of these corporate actions as well. And as Mangalam was also highlighting, the management had reiterated when they spoke to CNBC-TV18 that they remain committed to the business. There have been no these allegations of falsification of documents. There is no wrongdoing that has happened, but they have formed an independent committee to investigate. So as of now, there are plenty of questions that are pertaining to Gensol, but the answer seems a little distant.
The answer seems a little distant, and the stock price tells you that as well. With that, what we'll do is slip into a short break. As we do that, let's get you up to speed with the latest offering, which is the CNBC-TV18 all-new app, by which you can get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles, all of that on this app itself. Financial world updates also coming at your fingertips. You download the CNBC-TV18 app, either from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. You can just scan the QR code on your screen out here, and that brings you the app that we're talking about.
Welcome back. 100 points now off the highs of the day is the Nifty. 22,573 is where the index currently stands, giving up almost all that it has gained through the first half of the trading session. And a lot of these capital market related names are not having a very good day at the office today. 361 WAM is the top loser on the Nifty 500, 7.5% lower there. JM Financial too is the second worst performer on that index, 6.5% down on that stock. Down to the lowest point of the day is 361 WAM, as is JM Financial. And there is no let off for BSE as well, because after Goldman Sachs cut its price target twice last week, Nuvama has cut its price target by almost 30% in today's trading session, and that shows up on the price as well. 4% lower now on BSE, on the verge of breaking that 4,000 level on the downside. But on in focus is also Infosys, and that is on the back of some brokerage notes that have come in. Rima is here to tell us more on that. Rima.
Thanks so much for that. So CLSA today has upgraded Infosys to an outperform from a hold rating. Their target price implies a 15% upside from current levels. 1978 is the target price, and this comes on the heels of the stock declining 10% since the start of the year. So some of the reasons are for the upgrade. One, valuations at 24 times are at a 7-year average. So it's not that valuations are at a premium. Secondly, the Q4 weak seasonality. Q4 is expected to be a soft quarter. The company affects wage hikes, so that depresses margin, but that is priced in. And the third reason is there are tailwinds for demand picking up over the medium term. So they're saying that the street is concerned that what if all this Trump uncertainty, the the possibility that US enters into a recession, will that impact tech demand? Well, CLSA says that as of now, at least, US banks are saying that tech spends remain intact. Their commentary is upbeat, so there is no risk on the BFSI front. Retail, too, is seeing a recovery. And in the case of EU automotive companies, they might get hit in the event of tariffs being imposed on them. Well, according to CLSA, if that is, if that takes place, EU automotive companies are impacted, then Infosys could actually be a beneficiary, given, vendor the possibility that Infi is on the right side of vendor consolidation deals. The only thing they're watching out for, they're saying that in FY26, because of all this uncertainty, the guidance shared by Infosys for FY26 could be wider than normal. It could bake in some uncertainty, and maybe the company guides for 4 to 7% in terms of a guidance for next year. But there is an upgrade to an outperform, which has got the stock excited.
Take that point and coupled with the underperformance that we saw all of last week. So that's doing well for the index. But Rima, you're also looking at Bharti Hexacom stock not doing too much today. But there is a positive brokerage note.
Indeed, so Motilal Oswal today has come out with a note, buy rating, target price 1625. They say it's a preferred play on the India Telecom wireless story. They say over Bharti Airtel, which is investors' preferred pick, they like Hexacom more because there are no concerns on misallocation of capital. In the case of Bharti Airtel, remember Mr. Sunil Mittal has spoken about perhaps making an acquisition over the medium term. So on Bharti Airtel, even though it's a great play, the company is generating free cash flow, investors are a bit concerned about misallocation of that capital. Secondly, in terms of business prospects for Bharti Hexacom, we know it operates in 2 regions, Northeast and Rajasthan. In Northeast, the company's done even better because Vodafone Idea had to deprioritize Northeast on account of capital constraints. Also, in these 2 particular areas, Rajasthan and Northeast, the penetration is lower and therefore the runway for growth for the company is higher. Now, about the stock price, it's had a phenomenal listing. It listed last year, April of 2024. Since then, the stock is up 2.3x and it trades at a premium to Bharti Airtel, nearly a 15% premium to Bharti's India business, implied valuation for the India business. But according to Motilal Oswal, given the prospects, this valuation premium can sustain and they like Bharti Hexacom. It's their preferred play, buy rating, target price 1625.
Down 18% from its peak of around 1600, but still a big wealth creator, 134% up from its IPO price, as Rima was just mentioning. And in a market like this, you take that with both hands. Rima, thanks a lot for that update on both Infosys and on Bharti Hexacom as well. Moving on, then, the government has invited applications for the post of the next IRDAI chairman. Who are the likely candidates for this post? Yash is here with more details on that. Yash, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Horma. So it's almost like the season where all financial regulators are seeing a change, starting with RBI, Sanjay Malhotra taking over there, then Tuhin Kanta Pandey taking over SEBI, and now the hunt for the next insurance regulator or IRDAI chairman has begun. The government has invited applications from interested candidates when it comes to the position of the next IRDAI chairperson. The last date for the submission of the application would be April 6th. But the current IRDA chairman, that is Debashish Panda, his last day in office would be March 13, 2025. Now, in all estimates, even the best in terms of conservative estimates, it would at least take about a month after the last day of submission of applications for the appointment of the next IRDA chairman, which means for about 30 days or so, the senior most member at IRDAI, which is likely to be PK Arora as per our sources, will take over the chair of IRDA chairperson till the time the permanent or a full-time chairman is selected by the government and he takes over the position of IRDAI chairperson. We've also picked up a few names from our sources in terms of the people who are likely to be in the race to be the next IRDA chairman. The first name here that comes is Giridhar Armane, who's the former defense secretary. He is likely to be in the race. Along with him, Ajay Seth, the current economic affairs secretary, is also likely to be in the race to become the next IRDA chairman. But just a quick look at the 3 years of the current IRDAI chairman, Debashish Panda. A lot of large-scale reforms being undertaken. The first one, of course, was the transition to use and file from file and use, essentially giving insurers the freedom to go ahead, launch a product, then file it with the regulator and get the approval. So not wait for the approval to launch the product. Putting limits on expenses of insurance companies, of course, the EOM or expenses of management regulations, that was an important one. Easing private equity investments in the insurance sector, removing the condition of SPV was another important point. Higher surrender value for policyholders, 100% FDI in the insurance sector, all being batted by the current chairman Debashish Panda. A lot expected in the term as far as the incoming chairman is also concerned, from the amendment bill to major accounting reforms to listing of large insurance companies. We'll have our eyes on all these reforms as the new chairperson takes that position of the next IRDA chairman.
All right, Yash, just out of curiosity, with this bespectacled look and, you know, the slightly aged, mature look that you are carrying these days, are you tempted to put in your, application for the same as well?
No. I'm just tempted to get the name on who would be the next chairman. No intentions, of course, to even consider anything of that sort.
He just mentioned he'll have his eyes on it. Now he's going to have four eyes on the same. So that's something that you keep an eye out for. Yash, thanks a lot for that update. We'll definitely watch out for who's going to be the next IRDAI chairperson. But we take a short break. But before we do that, here's a quick note for our viewers. Parity is just not a goal. It is the key to unlocking new possibilities. HSBC presents CNBC-TV18 Future Female Forward, the mega summit co-presented by Cognizant, where we discuss what it takes to close the gender gap and create a lasting impact. Tune in for this game-changing dialogue live on CNBC-TV18 today at 5:30 p.m. onwards. Take a short break. Back on the other side.
Welcome back. The Nifty is holding with gains of about 38 points. It is off the lows of trade, but it's also way off the highs of today's trading session. As you can see, from the intraday chart itself, it's a perfect time to get you up to speed with what's taking place in the FNO, side of things, or FNO end of things. You have the Nifty, which is doing well, but what's pressurizing the Nifty is the Nifty Bank, which is not doing particularly well. What's holding the Nifty up is the FMCG index and the IT index. So FMCG actually is the top gaining index in today's trading session so far. The problem is not the frontline index. The problem is the broader markets. After good outperformance all of last week, maybe some bit of profit taking is what we're seeing. Mid-cap index is down about 0.2%. The small-cap index down about 1%. And the advanced decline ratio tells you a story of the day, where you have, the red and the green lines far apart right now. They've been, starting with the green above the red line. There was an intersection immediately after the market opened. And thereafter, we've seen those lines just move far apart, with about 1,900 stocks now in the red for about 800 stocks which are in the green. The other factor is that even as the Nifty is holding on to gains, we have the India VIX, which has spiked a little bit. Nothing to worry, but there is a bit of a spike, which tells you that maybe there is call writing at higher levels as well, and perhaps put buying as well. So let's look at the options. 22,600 put. That is extremely active. These are options that expire this Thursday. 100 rupees premium, telling you 22,500 is an important support to watch out for. But as we move higher, there is some sort of resistance which is likely. From 22,650 itself, we've seen call writing, telling you that at 22,750 thereabouts is where the first leg of resistance comes in. What is that 22,750? The 20-day moving average. And for the Nifty Bank as well, 49,000 is an important mark to cross, which is about 500 points from here on. That's the 20-day moving average. A lot of stocks doing well in an otherwise wobbly trade for broader markets, and a lot of long positions added on names like Adani Energy Solutions. You have Torrent Power, Phoenix Mills as well. Uncharacteristically high open interest build-up is what we've seen out there. But just keep an eye out on BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange. All the stocks in the capital market space are not doing particularly well, and BSE in specific is seeing a lot of open interest build-up, suggesting that the stock may actually enter FNO band. So we'll keep an eye out on BSE. So that's basically the FNO setup for the day. The Nifty, broad range, 22,500 to 22,750. Individual stocks doing well, but BSE is something that we'll most definitely watch out for.
We definitely keep an eye out for that. Absolutely no let up. And most of the others as well. We just mentioned 361 WAM and JM Financial. But Anand Rathi Wealth is not too far behind as well. 4.5% lower there as well on that stock. And the other one that has not done well for itself in today's trading session is Kalyan Jewelers. And that is now with that 400 2,600 level on the stock under threat, and the stock is also falling on high volumes. Remember, the stock was down around 4% on Friday as well, so another 4% shaved off in today's trading session. We take a short break. Somil Mehta of Mirae Asset Sharekhan joins us on the other side with a quick chart check and some trading strategies as well. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Back at 22,600 is the Nifty, and Somil Mehta of Mirae Asset Sharekhan is joining us now on the show. Somil, good afternoon. Thank you for joining in. You know, how important is that 20 DMA now for the Nifty at 22,700, 22,800, that range? How important is it for that to cross? What happens to the index next? And couple that up with your stock-specific ideas as well for the afternoon.
Thank you for having me on the show. Short-term bias remains positive. We've seen a very sharp pullback in Nifty last week, and we've crossed some very crucial resistance. 22,400 remains very crucial from here on. 22,400 would be a very, very crucial support from here on. I'm not expecting markets to go down below 22,400, and the strategy should be to buy on declines. On the upside, I think 22,800 would be a very short-term resistance, and as the short-term bias remains positive, I'm expecting markets to go about 23,400 levels, which is close to 200 daily exponential moving average. So 23,400 would be my short-term targets, and I'm not expecting markets to go down below 22,400 levels. I'm picking two stocks for short term, which is United Spirits. That'll be a buy call. Stop loss would be 1,300 and the target would be 1,400. The next call would be a mid-cap stock, Policy Bazaar, and the stop loss would be 1,385 and the target would be 1,520.
All right, we take that point. Thank you, Somil, for joining in. You spoke about Policy Bazaar. Just keep an eye on a couple of these life insurance stocks. You have all of them spiking right now. SBI Life has moved to the high point of trade. HDFC Life is doing extremely well as well. So the third one is ICICI Pru. So all these stocks are suddenly moving higher. Maybe the street is taking note of some of those comments that came in from the finance minister the other day saying that maybe they're looking at rationalizing the GST rates itself. If that were to happen, then the insurance company is something that has been asking for it for the industry. Will that be considered or not as well is something that we'll most definitely need to keep an eye out on. As of now, these life insurance stocks fairly well bid. And the good news is that the Nifty Bank, which was mildly below the flat line, has now gotten back above the flat line, up around 20 points for the Nifty Bank. And guess what's powered it ahead? We have HDFC Bank. Pull up the intraday chart of HDFC Bank. That stock has moved to the high point of trade. And as we speak, we have some news at the bottom of your screen coming in from Money Control. Sources to Money Control say that Hero MotoCorp has been given a clean sheet by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which in June 2023 had ordered an investigation against the company for possible fund divergence or giving the funds away. Right? So just keep an eye out on that one. From the lows of the trade, stock has seen a bit of a recovery, though still mildly in the red. When this had happened, there was a bit of a decline in the stock that we had seen in 2023 itself. Take a short break, get back, and we speak about markets and a lot of individual stocks. Welcome back. A lot of these defense stocks were actually doing quite well on, Friday's trading session. And then we had Upasna join us to tell us what exactly is happening. There was a brokerage note that upgraded the space as well. This morning we had the management of Astra Microwave as well. They project a top-line growth of 25%. They've maintained their order book guidance at a time when, a lot of these stocks have fallen from the highs. So maybe it's important to look at it from that perspective. We have our special segment, Insight Edge, as always. Upasana joins in to speak about what the management said, from the Astra micro standpoint. Upasana.
Well, certainly, we spoke to the management early this morning and to get an insight into the overall sectoral trends, order book guidance and business outlook. Now, management says that it expects a top-line growth of 25% for FY26 with a revenue ranging around 1,300 crores. It says that it will likely cross 1,000 crore revenue target for FY25 and company maintains order inflow guidance of nearly 1,200 crore for FY25. With this, company's consolidated order book currently stands at 2,332 crores is what the company has indicated. Now, company says that currently it has multiple projects and discussions ongoing, and it believes, just as ICICI Securities has released the brokerage stating the same, that the rearmament of Europe is a mega trend for the next 6 to 7 years, and Indian companies may get substantial inflow on the back of this. The company has also emphasized that the supply chain resilience for Indian companies will become very crucial going forward on the back of this. So let's listen in what the management has to say.
We are maintaining our guidance. Our order book forecasts have more or less been translated into actuals at this point in time. We are looking at deliveries on schedule, and we will cross, in all likelihood, 1,000 odd crores, which we had spoken about, indicated to you. The next year guidance has been and our consolidated order book right now is around 2,332 odd crores, and a standalone is about 1,960. And our forecast for the next year is the new order inflow is in excess of 1,250, 1,300 crores, 25 odd percent is the top line growth which we are projecting.
The management there of Astra Microwave and Upasana highlighting the company on our special segment Insight Edge. We'll take a short break, but before that, here's a quick note for our viewers. Where do we stand when it comes to women's leadership and progress in India? The Close the Gender Gap Index uncovers key insights, while the Future Female Forward Charter sets the roadmap for real action. Be part of this movement. Tune in today starting 5:30 p.m. only on CNBC-TV18. Welcome back. Joining us on the show now is Ajay Goel. He's chairman of the Wheat Products Promotion Council Society. Ajay, thank you so much for joining in. Well, a couple of things really. First of all, on the weather itself, because Jan was hot and Feb was the hottest in 124 years, and March doesn't seem to be going down cooler either, because the kind of reports that we've seen coming from IMD. Does that at all impact or has impacted the wheat crop?
No, so fortunately, there have been some westerly disturbances, and the mercury has again dropped in the plains of North India, in Punjab, Haryana, UP. You again see cool weather since the past 4-5 days. It was expected that, the temperatures will remain high, but due to these disturbances. But again, going forward, there are some fears of heat waves, in the month of March. But right now, it is quite good. The weather is favorable, I would put it this way.
Ajay, there's a big difference between what the government seems to be thinking on what the wheat crop would be vis-a-vis the industry. Any sense on what the industry is putting out as its range and sense of crop this time?
So definitely it's going to be about 3 to 4 million tons higher than what it was last year, whatever number you can place for last year. Officially, the production is estimated to be at about 116 odd million tons. And but it is certain that it's going to be higher than last year, at least by 3-4 million tons.
So are we looking at almost 120 million tons for this year?
No, I would say 116 is a better number, conservative number. At 116.5 is something that probably most estimates are at the moment.
Ajay, I also want to get a sense on the kind of government procurement numbers that they have put out. Is it too ambitious with the kind of dry pipeline that we have from the private players?
So I would say that, they have put out a number of 31 million tons for procurement in this season. And government is, I think they will cross 22, 23, 24 million tons. And two states, Rajasthan and MP, have declared a bonus of 175 odd rupees as well. So we could see better than expected procurement for the government due to this bonus in the state of. It's MP which is the issue where you're not going to see any improvement over last year as far as procurement is concerned.
Ajay, also, there's a lot of conversation about wheat inflation, really. And if you look at the last year's prices, if you take a look at the last year's lowest prices and this year highest prices, I mean, it's quite a percentage increase there. How are you looking at the prices currently? What's your sense for 2025?
So today, we've had very fantastic arrivals in MP especially, and this market is going to, just fall down after Holi because there'll be so much of wheat coming into the market, and the government will start procuring in MP probably 15th of April. But private players will wait and watch because there is a stock limit which is still in force currently up to 31st of March. And then by that time, we will have UP and Punjab and Haryana come in. So somehow we get a sense that there's going to be a more marketable surplus left behind in the marketplace if the government is not able to procure much. And one thing is certain, that everybody is going to step up their procurement over last year, especially private players and users who have suffered over in the past 1 or 2 years. They are going to, bump up their purchases and hold a higher stock. So if the large players who are the users are not there in the marketplace, I don't think there will be a rally like last year in this year, at least until September, October.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Goyal, thank you so much for sparing time and joining us this afternoon today. Manisha, thank you for joining in as well. With that, we call time on this edition of Halftime Report. We leave you with the Nifty still off the highs of the day, nearing that mark of 22,600. Business lunch for the next 30 minutes on the other side.